My business coaching class is back, so go to theslanted.lens/business class and sign up today. Hi, this is JP Morgan. Today on Slanted Lens, I've got Pi here from SLR Lounge, and also he has a fabulous wedding business.
Lynn and Jersa Photography.
You know, that's what's interesting about having him here on our channel today is he truly has unlocked wedding photography in a big way. Big way. He has. I mean, I was just here at his place. I walked through, there's like 1 million people working here. And that's just getting him coffee. And he doesn't even drink it. So,
well, we have an awesome crew.
You do indeed. But what we want to hear, I mean, we have a lot of people on the Slanted Lens who do weddings and do portrait kinds of things. We want to hear what you do to get ready to prepare yourself for a wedding shoot. What are the things you kind of have to do to put together a wedding shoot?
Well, I'm so glad you asked this.
Imagine that I would ask that.
So I have 10 tips when it comes to planning.
Only 10?
Well, we only have a limited amount of time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But we have 10 tips for planning a wedding shoot, and they're actually tips that we use for planning any type of portrait shoot, engagement, wedding, maternity, all that stuff.
So getting ready for a shoot.
Getting ready for a shoot. So the first thing, we always start off with a mood board. The mood board, we actually have clients create. We actually learned this from commercial photography.
This is a commercial thing,
Your
absolutely.
realm.
Yeah.
Because it helps us to set a vision for what the clients are looking for. So we found that asking them to describe it with words or simply showing us images didn't really work. We actually wanted them to show us images they like and write one thing about it that they like. Oh. That's what goes on in the mood board. And that establishes the vision, which helps us to go, okay, this is what that client is looking for. We do that with every client.
Well, that helps you give them what they want and make sure that you know what page they're on. That's fabulous.
Exactly, because if they pin 200 light and airy images on their mood board, then we're going to go out and shoot at natural light and shoot light and airy. If they pin all these dramatic images, we're going to do that. We found that 5-6 years ago when we weren't doing that, we'd go out, deliver an amazing set of images, and the client would go, oh, but I really like that pose. And we're like, you're like, the images you showed us had all this dramatic stuff and did this. And like, no, I just like that pose that was in that shot. And
hated
like,
the light.
Oh my gosh, okay. So anyway, the mood board helps us to establish that vision.
That's fabulous.
Number 2 is the timeline. And so we always try and get the timeline as early as possible so we can help in modifying. We create what we call the condensed itinerary. The condensed itinerary is just the information that you need as the photographer for your team. So when the coordinator sends out the information, they usually send a ton of information. We take that and we consolidate it into a single email. It actually goes into my Evernote, and I love using Evernote. And that syncs across all my computers and my devices. So I put it in there, take a screenshot of it, save it as my background on my phone. So actually when I unlock my phone,
you don't even have to.
I don't have to do anything. It just goes to the lock screen, and I can see the timeline right there, the condensed itinerary.
That's really smart.
And then Evernote actually lets you email it out to the entire team as well. So I email it directly from Evernote to everybody. It's on all of our devices and everything. All right, so number 3 is something that you mentioned that you do on your commercial stuff, which is arrive early and location scout. Scout too. It's
a stout location.
Yeah.
Needs scouting.
Maybe they serve beers.
Probably.
Isn't it a stout?
It is a beer. Very stout beer. I know.
Arrive early and get some location stout.
Yeah, stout young man.
So, and what really helps us is if you can't arrive early on the day of, then go the day before and pre-scout. And what we use, and this is tip number 4, is we use Sunseeker. It's an app on your phone.
Love Sunseeker.
So, yeah, when you're walking around the venue, you can actually use your phone and track the location of the light.
You know when the light's going to come through the window,
No, that's exactly it. And so, like, I've been in so many situations.
Are we geeking out a little bit about
We are totally geeking out, and...
Because I love it.
We've done it a lot off camera.
That's true.
I think I said a loft camera. That's right. But it's the coolest thing because we've been in, shooting, and it'll be 5 p.m. and we'll be like, okay, we have 10 minutes to do a quick bridal session before we have to go and do something else. And we go, oh, I know Sunseeker told me that the light was going to be right here shining through this window of the hotel. And you go to that window of the hotel and the light's right in the perfect spot, and you just shoot it. And we always say, like, you look like a magician. You look like a magician.
Mm-hmm.
And do you do the hands?
No, I've never done the hands.
Okay, go
I
slow.
have to work on that. Oh, nice.
Slow. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice. I want to see that on Slanted Lens.
I could be a wedding photographer.
So those kind of things in my mind make you out to just be an amazing photographer. You know where to be, you know where to utilize your time. And when you have only 10 minutes or 15 minutes to do something, if you take them to a location that has bad light, you're done. Like, you might walk 5 minutes to get there, and end up just
doesn't
with
work.
something that's not that good.
So they make you look like a great photographer because that's what great photographers do. I mean, you know where the light's at.
Yeah.
I don't know why people don't understand that.
It helps tremendously regardless. And in my mind, location scouting, like you mentioned this too, like on the day of, you're usually working at a pace where you don't have time to think creatively. I mean, you're thinking creatively in the zone, but you're not going to try things that are outside the box unless you know it's going to work, because you're under pressure in those situations. Your location scouting time is kind of that time to think about how you want to do things and what you could do differently, and it's that creative time, you know.
You're not going to bump into a great shot.
Yeah.
You're going to say, okay, I got 10 minutes at this time, so if I'm going to get a great shot, I got to know right where to go to get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No messing around.
Tip
Tip number 5. I said that in like the widest possible accent ever. It's all right. Sync your camera settings before shooting. So we sync all the times in camera before the first shot is taken, and the easiest way to do that is to do it to time.gov. So rather than everybody like trying to meet in the same room, if you're going to different locations, we just all say, okay, everyone pre-sync to time.gov on the morning of the shoot. You go to time.gov, the actual website. I say time.gov because it's a website, time.gov.
Gov.
I'm not just saying dot for no reason. And then you sync
So
to that.
why do you do that? I mean, when you say you're syncing, you're talking about you're syncing the time on all of your cameras. Is that what
I'm
you're saying?
glad you. I'm just kidding. I know you already know the answer to this question, but I'll
You got to
answer
do
for it.
something here.
Okay, so you sync because when we get it into post, then as we look through the images, everything is chronological. So as we see the first kiss, we see the first kiss from all 3 or 4 cameras, however many we have in that scene. And so when you're comparing images and culling, it's much, much easier because you can pick out the best images for every single scene. Otherwise,
fabulous.
everything is all over the place, and you have to either sync it in post or try and cull them all separately, which is a pain in the butt.
So, well, I don't want to get too far down that. This is interesting to me because it's not something I've done. It's really
Yeah,
interesting to
because
me.
we have sometimes a typical shoot, or a typical wedding will have at least 2 shooters, usually 3.
Yeah.
We've had shoots where, we have massive budgets, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 photography budgets for just the wedding photography. And we'll have a team of 16 people there.
Wow.
And so you imagine if it's not synced and you're shooting with all these people in different moments and stuff like that, it's a nightmare to go through.
So bringing it back into post now, these things, you bring them up by time?
Yeah, so when you actually cull inside of Lightroom, you sort by capture time.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So
well, that makes sense. That's
When
pretty
it's
easy.
sorted by capture time.
That's what
then
that button does.
There you go. So yeah, it makes sure everything lines up. And if you have, like, say, for example, that big, huge wedding that we shot, we had like 12 people on the dance floor at one point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And so at every point in time, John Legend was actually performing. And so obviously all 12 shooters like, John Legend!
Yeah.
So everybody's taking pictures of John Legend from 12 different angles, which we really didn't need. And me and the second lead were basically shooting like the couple. But now we have like 10 different angles of John Legend. So we just go and pick, a couple of the best
Couple of
ones,
those,
as
yeah.
opposed to like trying to sort through
That's
and
smart.
figure out later.
That's
on.
very
So,
cool.
next thing, in every single scene, we always shoot manually. Manual on everything. We shoot manual on the cameras. We shoot manual flash. We shoot manual everything. Dialing in white balances, dialing in your exposure, because we want image to image, we want everything to be identical in terms of exposure. So that way when we produce one, we can sync across the rest of the images that are shot on that camera in the scene. So it saves us a lot of time in post, helps us to get consistent images.
Not jumping all over the place. Yeah, that's fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, even when a little bit of exposure is off, or even when something's off a tiny bit, you have to go through individually and start tweaking. Number 7, we do something called foundation posing, which we actually teach our clients this during the engagement shoot. What it allows us to do, and if you're familiar with any of our courses that we've taught on incredible engagements, on natural light photography, on just anything wedding in general, we go through the foundation posing framework, which we teach clients. There's 5 basic feet positions to get to any pose. And so when we're actually on the wedding day, on an engagement shoot, we have like 3 hours to shoot. On the wedding day, we ask for an hour. We're lucky if we get 30 minutes. We usually get 15. So it allows us to go, I want you guys to go into the open pose, hold hands in the center. That's perfect. Look at each other. Go into the closed pose, hug in tight, lean the heads against each other. So it's a super simple way of just communicating everything to them. And we found that when clients are familiar with that framework beforehand, we get through 15 minutes of images and have a huge variety of images as opposed to ones that haven't.
Well, that's got to help your bride and your groom feel more comfortable as well.
Totally.
They have some place to go rather than just saying they don't know what to do. That's a smart move.
Yeah, so and even if most of your clients obviously aren't going to have experience, our clients don't. They don't have experience in front of the camera, so it helps them to be comfortable. And whether you guys use our framework or your own, make a framework. And that way you can teach it to the clients beforehand, and coming to the wedding, things go a little bit smoother.
That's an added value thing too. You can say, we're going to help you be comfortable the day of. Here's the poses. We're going to help you know what poses we're going to go through, so you'll feel comfortable in front of the camera. That's really a nice thing.
Yeah. So the next thing I wanted to mention was before every major moment, we do a triple check. I hold up 3 in case people didn't hear the word triple. I don't know.
I usually go like this. We do a triple check.
A triple check. A trek? Okay. Triple check. So what we do is we look at camera settings, batteries, and SD and CF cards. So we make sure that our camera settings are set correctly. We'll always take, like before a grand entrance, before whatever it is, we'll take a test shot using, either one of our second shooters or whatever, just make sure everything's good. And then you look at and replace, like, even if the batteries are fairly fresh in my flashes and we're about to do the bouquet toss, I'll put an entirely new set of batteries into all the flashes, make sure everything's good. We also make sure that, like, say going into the ceremony, you look at your memory, and if you have 200 shots left going into the ceremony, you change out your memory.
Yeah.
Because more than likely you look at it and you're like, okay, I have 200 left. And what ends up happening is at 195, you're right down to the first kiss. And guess what happens? And the funny thing is that we got this because one of our associate shooters had it happen. And so it happened to the associate shooter, like, oh my gosh, did you get the first? And we're like, yes, we got the first kiss. We got it. That was the lead shooter's job. But of course, it's the second shooter to back him up. Yeah. And so fortunately, the lead shooter had it covered, but that's why you have a lead and a second to kind of cover each other. But before any major moment, you check to make sure that you have enough space so you don't run out at a very inopportune time. All right, the last two, number 9 and number 10, are kind of related. Number 9 is we star our favorite images as we go through the day. Now, we shoot everything raw. We star the favorite images as we go through the day. And what we try and do with every single wedding, and this is a big thing, this is tip number 10, there's generally a 10, 15, 20-minute piece of downtime where we might be grabbing dinner, we might be doing something like right before the reception. We do our darndest to put together a same-day slideshow on a laptop.
That's really nice.
You grab the 1-star images, you just throw them into Lightroom, you put a simple preset on them. They don't have to be perfect. They're just, clients, they're guests, they're not going to be able to notice the differences in like little tiny bits of temperature and stuff. You just get them to a nice point, and then throw them into Lightroom with that preset, and then you just run a slideshow directly from Lightroom full screen. So it takes 5 minutes to get them uploaded. You just pull the 1-stars. It takes 5 minutes to process them, and then 5 minutes to run the slideshow. You put this up by, say, like the bar, by the entrance. If you get it up in time for the reception, you can put it up while people are entering the reception with a little bit of your business cards off the side, just kind of nicely placed there. And it's a great conversational piece. So I love it by the bar because you place it in a place where it's like, just off to the side a little bit, and as people are waiting for their drinks, they're just looking at your photos.
They're watching it, yeah.
And so they're talking about the images. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so amazing!" And they all go and grab cards. And
so you put
it's
cards
the
with it, yeah.
Easiest marketing thing ever.
Fabulous.
The only downside is sometimes you don't have enough time to get it actually set up. So it's a little bit, you have to think of your workflow and think of the process. Be shooting so everything looks great in camera, but when you can get that stuff down, it's a great little marketing piece.
That's fabulous.
That's it. That's my 10.
So there's 10. 10 tips on how to put together a wedding day. Those are fabulous. So some great things. There's some things in there that translate into commercial work as well. Obviously, there's some great tips in there we can help. So this has been wonderful. Pi is fabulous. He just has a great perspective about weddings, is very successful at that experience. So look at his stuff on SLR Lounge. He's got great tutorials, the things you talked about, like your posing. That's something that you can look at there. You can take and use that in your own business. So check out the things that they have on SLR Lounge, right?
Yep, it's on slrlounge.com/store.
Store. Excellent. There's some great materials there you need to check out, so keep those cameras rolling. Keep on clicking. If you're selling seashells down by the seashore, then you need your syrup slider set from the Slanted Lens. Go to theslanteдлens.com. Sign up today.